Hello everyone, welcome back to Angela's Craft Room. Today I'm using one of my favourite stamp sets, Lovely as a Tree, and I'm going to be doing some resist embossing and a lot of sponging. So we've got to get started straight away because I can't rush it. So I apologise straight away if it's the video goes too long. With this one, I embossed this in the sentiment with silver embossing folder, but for quickness today, I've already stamped out a congratulations sentiment ready to go. So I've masked the moon up here with my Eclipse masking tape. So all I do is I punch it out with my circle punch, just depends how big you want your moon. And I've shown you my Eclipse masking tape heaps of times, so I thought I won't do it this tutorial. Now I've got my big tree in place from Lovely as a Tree ready to go. So first technique we're going to do is we're going to stamp up the tree in Versamark ink. Oh, I nearly forgot. Embossing buddy, very important when you're embossing with embossing powder. You must go over with your embossing buddy. Otherwise, we're going to end up with specks. So we don't want specks. So let's see where that's sitting fine. So I'll just re-stamp that. I want to get a really good coverage of the Versamark. And just pop that down like that. Then what I want to do, I need to be very careful not to go over my tree, but I'm just going to do two trees I think this time, and I'm just going to come down under the moon, trying to keep my stamp as straight as possible. Then just stamp that back up with your Versamark ink. Yeah, that's very important to do your embossing buddy first. And then just stamp that down. And we could do another one there. We might as well if we wanted to. I mean, that's not going to make much difference to the time of the video, just stamping one tree. It's the sponging that's going to take the time. But if you get bored with it, you know you can fast forward and get the main details. I've been pretty good with my videos lately, keeping them to around 20 minutes, but there's no way this one will be that. So I'm going to pop that over there, put the magnet over there so I know where it is. Now I'm going to get my little tray and my white embossing powder, and I'm going to liberally, because I would just put what's in the tray here back into my jar at the end of the video. So I just like to flick on the back so to get any little bits that shouldn't be there, and you usually can tell by looking at it, and it looks pretty good. So we'll just pop that over there. to pop the lid back on. Now I'm just going to be a bit noisy, so I'm just going to heat emboss. Now I didn't talk while I was doing that because I really didn't think you'd be able to hear me. Now we've heat embossed that, so we're going to get straight into the sponging. Now you can see that where I've masked the moon, and you might just see how I've embossed that in the white. So you can use sponges, like Stampin' Up sponges, but I like to use a blending tool from Ranger. It just helps me do it a bit better with my wrists. Now when I'm doing this sponging, I like to start off with a light colour. So I'm going to start off with Wisteria Wonder, and I like to use a non-stick mat so that when I'm sponging I start off on here and then come over to my tree. So we'll just get the Wisteria Wonder out, and I'm just going to be stamping into the Wisteria Wonder because it's best to start with a light colour because you can always add colour later. Now I find also by starting off the cardstock that you don't get that blob mark. I'm sure you've got it as well as I have when we try and do it too quick. So this is shimmery white as well. This is shimmery white cardstock, and it has that glitter all the way through it. And why I like that is it just seems, I don't know if it's because it's got that glitter through it, but it just seems to blend so much better than just normal cardstock or watercolor paper. So you can see that I've applied that quite fast. That's why it's really good to start with a light colour first, and you can see how it's bringing up those white embossed trees. I just really love this technique. I do a lot of my Christmas cards doing this technique, but the card I showed you at the beginning of the tutorial, that's actually got a wedding verse on it. So like, I use Lovely as a Tree for absolutely everything. I love the stamp set. It's just so versatile. So so you can see how quickly that's Wisteria Wonder has literally covered that whole page, and I would have taken a lot more time with it when I did my initial card, but because it's a video, I'm just doing it a bit quicker. We'll see if I can do this video within 40 minutes, because I don't think I'll be doing it for any less, and I just hope it's not much longer than that for you. So now I'm going to switch to a darker colour, and I'm still using that same blending tool. I'm not even changing it. I'm going to get my Elegant Eggplant. Just dab straight. Now this is going to be a lot darker, you can see straight away, and I've got arthritis, so you know, it's really, I find I've got more control with using a blending tool like this. And then at the end you just take the round sponge off on the bottom there, and you just rinse it under the tap and leave it overnight to dry. So I want to get right round that moon. So I just think it's a lot better, like in this instance, to put like the Wisteria Wonder down first, and then grab your Elegant Eggplant. So it's not taking that long really. And you can just experiment with whatever colours you want to try, because I was a bit nervous about using these colours, and that's why I started with the Wisteria Wonder first. But I think because I've used this blending tool on one card, it's just blending a lot quicker for me this time. So that's the Elegant Eggplant. That didn't take very long. And now we've got Island Indigo. It's always a tongue twister for me, that one. I don't know why. Now I'm just going to come across to start with, the cross around the moon, and just bring a bit of that night blue into it. And we can always bring some, just go down the inside of those trees, and we can always bring the Elegant Eggplant back in. But I do find by using the shimmery white that it does glide onto the paper a lot better, and also the non-stick mat is essential, because I'm actually starting on the non-stick mat first. So I'll just grab the elegant eggplant and you can't help but get ink on your fingers. It's just impossible. But a tip, I use makeup remover, a solution. It's a foaming solution, and that's how I get the ink off my fingers. I found out the other day. Wash your hands with that and it will get it off. I'm just going to bring some more elegant eggplant back in there. And see, you don't have to worry about going over the trees because they're embossed. It's just going to glide over that embossed image. And you could do this with flowers or butterflies or whatever you wanted to do. So we won't mess around too much with that. We'll leave that. I'm quite happy with that sponge look. Now we need to try and get that moon off. And then we've got a nice crisp moon. And you could sponge over that if you want to, but I'm not going to fiddle with it. I'd already done my congratulations. You know, I'm so tempted just to put a little bit of Wisteria Wonder over that moon. But I won't. Leave well enough alone, Angela. So I'm just going to put some dimensionals onto that sentiment that I did prior. Now, if you're like the first card I showed you at the beginning, how I embossed the image. So you would have to, if you were going to do that, that's like this image up here, you would have to use your embossing buddy first and give it a really good rubbing over, and then stamp your sentiment with the Versamark ink pad, and then flick it off like I did with the trees, and then apply your embossing powder. I use silver, and then just heat emboss it. I just thought that it would take a bit too long for the video if I did all that. So I've got inky fingers, so I'm trying not to. Now I've already got a piece of Night of Navy. Now that's just the normal 11 inches long, 4 1/8 inch wide, and scored at 5.5, and I've already stamped the tree inside on a piece of Whisper White. Now you can just pop that straight on the card like that, or you can take a piece of crafting foam, which I've been using lately, and you can stick that onto there, and it will just pop off the card a lot better, which I think I'll do. I think with the video's going pretty well. I don't know why I have trouble getting this glue to come out sometimes. So you need to use a tacky glue when you're gluing this foam. I tell you every time, but I'd hate you to use ordinary glue. So I'm going to turn that over so I can see where that, so you just cut your foam, your crafting foam, a little bit smaller than your whatever size mat you're using. Okay, and then we need to put some on this side so that we can apply it to our card. And if you get a big blob come out, you can just use a cotton bud. You've seen me do that plenty of times. Just spread the glue out that way. I don't know why I take it so. Okay, so we carefully get our base. I just like to put it on a grid line, and I'm just going to pop that down. It will slide around a little bit until it takes, which is good in one way, because if you haven't got it completely straight, it does give you that time. So you can see this is my new crafting foam. I was telling you how if you buy it from the cheap shop, it's only going to be 1 millimetre wide, whereas this one is about 3 millimetres, and I just get it off of eBay. So if you just search in your area, and it comes in a, where I get it from, it comes in an A4 sheet. I think I get about 8 sheets. It just really saves using a heap of dimensionals, and it's very inexpensive. But I wouldn't get any thicker than 3 millimetres. I mean, you can get quite thick foam, but I think 3 millimetres is really good. So that's our card for today, and I don't think it was too painful. I actually like how this one turned out a bit better than the original one. I just had that happen to me with the first one. I don't know why. And you can just see I've embossed that with silver, which looked really nice too. And then we've got the congratulations one with the moon. So I hope those techniques help, and I hope that you will give them a try. And until next time, happy crafting!